Rich, so I have a question. You mentioned cold calling is it's only going to be going up. How can people make money off of that right now?
With conversational AI.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's essentially speaking, there are a few ways that you can make money off of conversational AI in terms of cold calling. So cold calling still works. It worked 100 years ago. It'll still go ahead and work out right now. And we have to take a look at this for who is your user that you need this for. There's three major stakeholders in this game. There are the people that are trying to get good at cold calling or the actual cold caller. There is the sales manager trying to get people better at cold calling, or the business owner that is trying to get people better at cold calling. And then there's the actual business owner that's actually funding this whole operation, or the sales manager, right? So I'll give you scenario number one. Uh, the more you cold call, the better you get. The only problem is people get better at cold calling by calling real people. And the problem with that is people don't always pick up. It's harder and harder to get people to pick up because everybody has their notifications off. Anybody that calls me, my mom hates it, but it's like it goes straight to voicemail. Uh,
Yep.
every girl I dated, they also freaking hated. Like, I was like, I don't know how to put you on a special list, and even if I did, I probably wouldn't do that because I don't want any notifications when I'm working, right? But like, when you do get people on the phone, so how can you go ahead and gamify this process and make it like more repetitive? Well, if you had a conversational AI voice agent that I can practice with, let's just say in real estate, they have a list of people that are selling their homes in this neighborhood and calling them and say, "Hey, has that home been sold yet? If not, let us take a stab at it, right? I don't think your agent's a very good agent because if they were, they would have brought you a buyer by now." So the only way you're going to train out that fear is if you get more reps. And the only way you're going to get more reps is if you're able to go out there and get more calls. Unfortunately, too many people are treating real leads as practice rounds. That's medieval. Okay. The best way that I can describe it is like during COVID, I started gaming again after like at least a decade and a half, and I was playing Call of Duty, and I'd get all freaked out every time I was getting shot at. Well, the cool thing about Call of Duty is you get hit, you just start back up again, right? So you load up whatever conversations that you want into 11 labs, and then boom, now all of a sudden you have this person that's 24/7 you're able to go out there and have this role-playing session with, right? That'll be also very good if we're talking about other parallel uses, mock interviews. The one job, I mean, we do it right now for product management interviewing is we used to tell people, we still do, apply to a bunch of product manager jobs of companies you don't want to work at and do those interviews first before you do the real thing, right? Well, there are two demographics out there that need to do a lot of interviews right now. Software engineers, they're getting absolutely wrecked.
Yep.
And also, customer success has also been getting really massacred out there, right? So when they get on the phone with people, they got to sound like really, really, really sharp. So you can have that. Sales conversations, of course, but any repetitive conversation. And also, that's another reason why people are using a lot of 11 labs is like, um, I deliberately moved to a smaller town in Korea to get good at Korean quickly because nobody was going to speak to me there in English compared to living in the capital.
Yep.
So anything where you're just stretching that muscle over and over and over again, right? The second really good use is, let's just say you are a sales or cold calling manager and you yourself, I've been told I'm a decent salesperson. No, I've been told I'm a fucking awesome salesperson, right? But there's only so much of me going around. I definitely only have so much energy now that I've gotten older. So let's just say I want to force multiply rich. Because every single time my admissions team tells me like leads are bad, it's like I'll go into the CRM and just start dialing those calls out myself. Unfortunately, like I can't enforce it all the time as a sales manager, right? So if I had conversational AI, you could just be getting uh, uh I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 riches out there that's just making calls with my voice and my style. And that is also something that you could be doing as with a voice agent and conversational AI. The third thing here, so our first use case was you're role playing. Um, the second use case is like you're actually locking down, like you're actually making these outreach calls, right? Well, now we're talking about the use case number three and number four. Setting up a conversational AI to open up a conversation is one thing. Now, setting up a conversational AI or voice agent, the next easiest thing for it to do is lock down an appointment. Because conversational AI, I have yet to hear of any conversational AI voice agent that's been able to close transactions. So you're still going to need a human being for that. So the next best thing it can do is just lock down an appointment. It's like, hey, Amr, well, we'd love to talk to you about it some more. I know that you're probably really busy yourself right now. How is, Wednesday, October 8th at 2 o'clock Eastern time? Does that work out for you? Let me confirm your email. Okay, so now all of a sudden you have use case number three, right? Number four is, if you can go out there and open up the conversation, if you can go out there and set the appointment, use case number four, which I don't see us being able to get to until we get to AGI, is actually where the voice agent actually closes these transactions. In our lifetime, it will happen. Is it going to happen in 2025? No. Is it going to happen in 2026? No. But they are going to go ahead and pull all of that data. They are going to go ahead and pull all of that data. And the closest thing that we can get to it right now is having a conversational or voice agent that is like a verbal GPT. So
Yep.
in these coaching calls that I host for all the different offers, every single week, people are largely asking me the same questions. Law firms right now are huge about chat GPTs, internal GPTs. So are management consulting firms, because there's just so much previous knowledge of like, remember, like we want to dig through like every case where we took on every pharmaceutical case we took on since 97. If you have GPT internally, it'll make it like very, very usable for you, right? The next thing here is we're gonna be able, use case number four is we're gonna be able to, in at least the next 3 to 6 months, have a conversational AI bot that is gonna be able to address all those questions. Well, Rich, have you worked with anybody from an investment banking background that wanted to transition over to AI product management? And what about like remote positions? I heard a lot of companies are asking their product managers to come back into the office. You can start training that right now. So by the time AGI is out, now it's just like, yo, so can we go ahead and get you enrolled, Armor? I haven't known of any closed transactions yet, but we're not far off from there either. Once that actually happens, so I've been running Product Gym for 8 years. Prior to that, I was working at a IT staffing agency where I've also managed like other recruiters, right? Salespeople, they're kind of like athletes on a sports team. Even within the same position, they don't all operate the same way. So now that we have all this data from the language model and we can train it up, so like salespeople, they eventually, if they're good enough, they just end up selling something either more expensive or they realize at best I'm only going to be able to make this much from you. So I should just start my own thing if they don't make it into a position of management themselves. So the four use cases is number one, training human beings how to be a better cold caller.
Yep.
I would say that is the simplest one. The second niche that we also have is being able to mass cold call, but that's only opening up conversations and you're trying to get to as many people. One of the things that's like these stockbrokers are trying to do, if for those of them that still even exist, because a lot of people have migrated over to Robinhood. Like I've, I don't, a lot of these guys don't even have college degrees, right? It's not like, yeah, and you could have an PhD in economics from, Cambridge University. It doesn't mean a whole lot. They just have fancier ways of saying, I don't know, right? But for the people that still are in the racket, and some of them are where they're cold calling people, like they cold call all the doctors in Manhattan to get in on like this next stock. Uh, yeah, voice agents have been great in like opening up conversations, and they might send it to an appointment setter to say like, hey, yo, so yeah, our assistant here, Lily, said like you are interested in scheduling a more formal phone call. Let me go out there and take down all your information. Most companies haven't gotten that far. So if you have a voice agent that can actually set an appointment, that'd be really good. And that's really laying down the groundwork to what are the most frequently asked questions and what are the most commonly asked used responses that you can answer these questions with. So if you can get that voice agent to start closing, and that could be like you selling stocks, you selling CRMs. We all know like when it's campaign season, like Democrats and like the American political system has been so much about who can raise more money. And it's
Yep.
usually the person, with the exception of Mondani, I would have to say his social media game has been, even the people that don't like him, they are taking a look at his social media playbook hard. And
Yep.
that's a whole different conversation. But like the next biggest thing for companies also like content creation, and can you how much of your video and social media content can you get on however many platforms more often to just constantly be in other people's faces. He won on that hard, and I'm pretty damn sure he leveraged AI to do so, because he definitely didn't outraise people. But like during campaign season, right, like if you can go out there and have more dialers, that's what a lot of these kids, I always wondered, like, what do you mean you're working on the campaign? Like, you're still in school. Like they're just cold calling for like, yeah, like, we really want you to support our mayor. We're gonna have him come down. It's gonna be great. Like, so like every bit helps. Like, okay, boom, great. I have you down for 1,000. Can we make it two? Yeah, that would be the dream come true, is to have that force multiplier where you can close. So first one is the AI conversational or voice agent, where we'll have it. I'll call it like level one would be the cold calling trainer voice AI or a voice AI agent. The second one would be the smile and dial mass deployment conversational cold call agent. The third one would be the appointment setting AI agent. That's where most people are trying to get to right now, because they have seen enough success, but it's not easy. Where it's just like, okay, so it doesn't seem like it's going to work out for you this week. It's, well, today's October 7th. What about next Tuesday? Oh yeah, cool, next Tuesday, because oh, duh, it's my day off. The fourth one is if you can get to the closer or answer as many questions as possible. We have appointment setters, human appointment setters, we do calls with too. And they're like, sometimes you get the person on the phone is like, well, I'm on the phone right now. Tell me more about your cybersecurity program right now. So we're really
Yep.
training up our own internal model. But that model number four, that one is going to be the predecessor for the closer. Once you get to the point where you have a closer, it's game over.
Yep.
Whichever company owns that, you could now be you don't have to be like that guy. This is what I notice about a lot of successful guys, is like they all lose their hair. Like, that like that guy from Netflix that has like all the real estate agents. You don't need to have like 20 real estate agents that are gossiping or like starting drama at your office.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Selling sunset
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Now you are like a $1 billion real estate agent, a real estate brokerage of one, and it's just going out. It's just being mass deployed, right? So yeah, those are the four use cases right here.
I think everything you've said, you basically just described the entire sales funnel and automating it, right?
Yeah.
Uh, it's the same thing from a marketing angle and remarketing after that, right? So you got them. Now let's get them again. and that's I think that's maybe even number five if we want to look down that far. But yeah, very very cool stuff.
Every sales operation basically functions like that is they all have to bring in the new hire and they have to get them trained. You could
Yep.
be selling like IT recruiting services or whatever. People need to know what it is that they're selling, and they always doze off when they are looking at a bunch of like pre-recorded videos from God knows how long ago. If you have a conversational AI agent, you can train up a person to understand, like somebody that joins our team, and I have to explain to them what product management is. Like we're selling product management training. So, what do product managers do? Who do product managers work with? What kind of skills do product? That's huge amounts of time for me to do that shit manually. So, the
Yep.
first thing it can take care of is, doing the training portion where they ask you a bunch of frequent questions too, and it already spits it out. The second thing is, well, getting into the motion of just dialing, that is a huge, like the companies that made the auto dialer, they all made money before it became like just a more normal thing that CRMs just all implemented. But we used to have this thing where one of my coworkers and I we got in trouble for it, which was it'll dial out three people at the same time. And if one person picks up, two people will drop off. And then, like, as soon as I hang up the phone, because that friction of like, oh, I gotta do this again, I gotta do this again, I gotta do that. I used to hate that. So we snuck in there and we just installed that bad boy and boom. Like, if I don't have to think about it, it was such a game changer because so many people wouldn't pick up. The ones that pick up would tell you go F off. So it was very demoralizing. But if before I even get a chance to feel depressed, somebody's like, "Yeah, this is Brian for Spotify. What do you need?" And it's just like, boom. Okay, so that opener, that thing is absolutely huge. The appointment setter, that one's also huge, and then this closer, that one's the last one. So from the very top of the funnel to the very bottom of the funnel, it is very intimidating to even put a new hire to say like, okay, you're doing all this from the beginning to the end, A to Z, you're owning the whole desk. That is too much. So they start them off at one phase at a time, and a voice agent is now 75% of the way there.
Yep. Agreed.
Great. Any other questions for me?
How how much do you think this would change the game, right? Let's just say forget closing, just being able to schedule uh, something on a calendar. How much time would that free up for a company?
This is so valuable for a company, and I'll tell you exactly why. The most motivated salespeople are the people that first start at a company and they just come in and they crush it. They're very energetic, they're sold on the vision, and now you're operating on vibes. But the more money that they start making, they start tapering off. So, like, in terms of that same hour, I notice when I give out a $10,000 cash bonus, I get a higher level of engagement from my admission
Right.
because obviously it's like they want that stack, right? It's like it's making it fun now. So I mean, it kind of pays itself off because they'll bring in more than $10,000 in business. That's like what 1.5 enrollments for us right now. So like they're like, yo, let's get it. But like it would probably save a company. It wouldn't just save a company at least 10 to 15 or even 20 hours a week. It would essentially help a company buy like an extra 500 to 1,000 hours a week because there's unlimited number of people calling. And we already know from our data across the industry, when you have a female AI voice, because now you can go out there and do whatever you want. You have a female voice, you have an extra 60% conversion on it, right? If you have a British accent, you just added another 15 points. There's like a higher level of trust with the British accent. Now, if you pair it up somehow, some way, because of that movie, Her, they chose that Scarlett Johansson voice out of all the voices. For some reason, She even told OpenAI not to use it, but the guy did it anyway. If you can get it close to that Scarlett Johansson voice, that gives enough of that soothing, calming effect for companies know that. So if you have like an accent, right? If I have one of my guys that's talking to them with a particular accent, they're just turned off by that. So even like I know a guy, he has a whole call team in Pakistan that is calling with British accents, but he's also owns a school teaching the local population how to talk with a British accent
Yeah.
and like everything about, British culture, like fuck them Rangers, like it's like, yeah, man, I know it was rough. But we're back on Sunday, like because it's like it feels more authentic, but at the same time, I was like, people want like people see getting calls as like a form of connection. So you're not just like saving a company like at least 15, 20 hours a week. You're also like buying, I would say you're buying back 500 to 1,000 hours a week because at best you're only going to get 168 hours out of somebody. That's assuming they're not sleeping because it's 24 hours a day times seven. Now that you've already, if you have like multiple voices, accents. I know companies right now that um the cross between like South Africa, the UK, and Australia has just been hot, and they're just like the data, the more they're running it, the data against the male voice versus the female voice, the accent versus the good old American accent, it's just like it's not even comparable. You
The
know.
testing is crazy. And it's funny you said Pakistan because I know a guy, he lives in London. He went back to Pakistan. He met his cousin for the first time in his life ever. His cousin sounded like he's from The Sopranos because that's who he sells to. He sells to people in Jersey specifically. I was like, what? What? What the
There,
hell?
there is this Korean guy in New Jersey, and he has this YouTube channel where he's just doing real estate deals all day. I think his name was like, I think his last name was like Choi or something. He's got glasses, and I see his content sometimes, and he will call these anybody that's in the East Coast knows that there's a lot of Italians that live in New Jersey, and after a few generations, you do become landowners. You do own buildings. It's very common with the immigrant population. So he'll cold call them, like, hey Dave. I don't do a good enough like New Jersey Italian accent, so I'm not even gonna bother. But I've also met like white guys that like have called Chinese people talking with like a Chinese accent. Because I have a lot of cousins in real estate with Keller Williams. I have stacks upon family members that are in that racket, and the accent game really, really works. So it's not just time saved, it's like you're getting a force multiplier.
Yeah,
Uh, if you also add in the fact, if you also add in the fact that 11 labs right now, you're also able to go ahead and run different languages. You just
yeah,
opened up like Spanish, right? So let's just say like I had a French guy working for me, and we actually enrolled some people in France. Granted, they speak fluent English on the other side, especially if they're in this business, right? But it definitely helps. I've enrolled people before speaking in Chinese. It definitely helps. And I've had some team members in the past 8 years where they spoke different languages. You could easily do it in English. We have a strong enough offer where they would have enrolled anyways. But of course, that cultural familiarity in the sales game, any advantage that you can get is huge. So you're also taking a look at like, you train up somebody for 3 to 4 years, and our product management offer right now is 7,000, right? We have a conversion rate of anywhere between one out of four to on the low side to on the very, very high side is like one out of 11 for somebody that just started out and they're still learning what product management and how AI works in this racket. It is, we get a lot of calls from China, but I can't take them all, right? Now all of
Right.
a sudden that makes it all possible because about 3 years or 4 years out, a lot of salespeople, they will make a decision whether or not they want to stay and move up or they want to go ahead and move over. And the problem is salespeople make management is hard, but sales management is really hard. And a lot of salespeople just realize, like, I don't want to manage people. I don't want to train people. I just want to sell. Unfortunately, I can't sell your offer, whatever offer you have. So, like, but it still takes the same amount of call volume to close the same transaction amount. So, what they'll just end up doing is just sell something that's more expensive. And
So I
when
think,
they leave, they take all that knowledge with them.
yeah, exactly. But I think that's where your training, like what you've described, let's just say the role playing, the training for level one, that stays with the company. They can, whoever new guy comes in, they can use that. Let's get this guy up to speed. I don't know, it takes 3, 4 years before. Now it might just take like 2 to 3 months, right? Or even faster than that. I think though, what we were just talking about in relation to like being able to talk about this in English is one thing, but Chinese, Korean, those are markets that most companies can't even tap, like they can't even look at, right? And if they want to, they have to put immense resources. So why I know this is in a company I used to prior work at when I worked in paid advertisement, we would pay so much, not just to translate, but localize those ads. So it sounds like that area, right? And I think in the outreach aspect of that, that's where this can be extremely valuable. I think that's everything we've talked about already is a force multiplier, but then like this is an even more of a force multiplier. And I think these are things to just maybe look at. I'm gonna start to try to maybe make some stuff around this and pass it back your way. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I think like the best place to start with conversational AI is just making like an AI trainer where
yep,
you because in despite all the turmoil, you'll still get a bunch of people going after like a real estate license or life insurance license, and they're 100% commission. And
yep.
companies simply don't have enough managers to keep on role playing and training with them, right? So the best they could do is just practice in front of the mirror.
So are you saying let's get very specific here, just so there's some direction, right? Like this can expand into a bunch of different industries. We talked about that. What's maybe the best industry to build this trainer for initially?
Right now, I would say the best thing to do is uh l- making instead of thinking about which industry is
Mm,
if a company was to get started, like what I would say easiest one is real estate because we
okay.
have a lot of real estate agents and it's a high burnout field, but there's also a high amount of people that are looking to always break into that field,
Yeah.
and they're on 100% commission. It is brutal. A lot of people that do door-to-door solar sales, tons of those types of people, right? So I
Yeah.
would focus on industry, but I would also go ahead and focus on car sales. That's an industry that's getting brutalized right now. Um, they should know that the self-driving car is coming. And at that point, like,
Good luck.
yeah. Jesus, right? At that point, like, good luck, right? Yeah. So, uh, what would you need? I would say make that process as seamless as possible. Where if you can explain it to a company, what would you need to get started? Like, I need, your top for us when we take a look at it is what are the top 20 questions, or do you have 20 call recordings? Do you have 20 call recordings of your best sales call where I can just start getting that language model
Yeah.
good for you. But the best place to start at level one is just giving a sparring partner for people that are learning how to sell. Because the more that they're able to go ahead and practice with somebody, that's the best thing. The other thing that's also really cool is if you can have some kind of scoring mechanism in
Yeah.
how it is that they can improve, how assertive their voice is, and then all that. But there's so much you can do with voice, and voice is the thing that every company is going to be investing hugely in because if you're reading, there's still an extra layer of friction. Like it's easier to listen than it is to read. That's why Amazon bought Audible,
Yep.
you know, because that thing's just being fused into you. So I would recommend you start from there.
Awesome. Thank you. That's super helpful. It gives me the right direction to get started in.
Yeah, man. Sales is going to require a huge, huge, huge effort, a renewal of effort. And anybody that's able to help companies scale this side of the business, they are going to be able to go out there and start printing cash.
Awesome.
So I would work on one, two, three, four, and if you're actually talking about five, start being able to show that to different languages.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll get started on this. I appreciate it.
All right, man. For the rest of y'all, if you guys want to learn how to start building this, schedule a call with us.